This is what Keveran Desert used to look like. Dull, boring, lacking detail. Yeah, this is screenshot 41 from the screenshot archive. After 2 weeks of development, this is now what Keveran Desert looks like. What a change, and then some. And notice those rock cliffs? Oh, how I love the way those came out. And of course, in a desert, what do you find but sand? Lots of sand. And of course, as you can tell, there's a lot of sand dunes. And what's the classic plant associated with a desert? You know those green prickly little things with all those really sharp looking scary thorns? Well, these are cacti. This, I think, is based on a saguerro or something. I don't know how it's pronounced. This is a barrel cactus with a little flower on top. You'll find plenty of those kinds of plants around. However, I don't have the terrain finished yet. And here is something different. What's with all the traffic? Well, that's just one of the things. And you might also see some odd lines and stuff in here. That's because there's power lines here and maglev train tracks. Yeah, speaking of which, here's a maglev train. All the various cars going by. You got your box cars, or at least that's mostly what there is. These are tank cars containing hydrogen fuel. And some empty cars that have just been offloaded. And here's the other one coming from another direction. This is the Keveran River in the background. Yeah, it's the Keveran River, just as I originally planned. And of course, don't forget all this standard traffic going by. Semis, little tiny cars that you could just barely see. Here's a semi in front of another one. This vehicle here, once considered the engine, but I thought, hey, it makes sense for a drag reducer, in a sense. But that's basically all there is for that part. And let's see, I want this spring right here for now. Just so you can get a nice view of all the sand dunes just way out at the edge of visibility. Kind of creeping up in a way. But do you like this rock cliff? I love the way that came out. That is really nice. It's so much better than what the original version was like. Yep, and here you've got a pretty nice view of the Keveran River there. And all the traffic that you can quite easily see now. Look down. It's a lot of change that I made over in only 2 weeks. That was interesting. I just grabbed that heart. However, let's see. How would you like to go see some other cacti? Some prickly cacti. And by the way, there's actually some cacti. If you look real closely in certain areas, you can actually see some cacti hidden behind here. They're really hard to see, though. Yeah, it's like he's walking on mid-air, but that's because the terrain isn't complete. So, yeah, I do need to work on that. And this is basically what it's like to glide over sand dunes and stuff. This is one of the things I once envisioned from my mind game, in a way. However, I want to go show you the upper areas. And for that, I need to shift into reverse. And I'll just show you some cacti. Yeah, those prickly things with all those thorns. And by the way, I have virtually zero experience with the desert. So, I have no idea how accurate my representation is. All this sand and stuff, you know. Those rock cliffs are one of my favorite things. That was good. That's what I was waiting for. And so you can see the upper areas very well. You've already seen the rock cliffs, the Keveran River, and all these short mountains, actually hills that lead up into the short mountains, in a sense. Here, if you look closely, you can actually see green over here. Yeah, that's right, green. For really extreme heights, yeah, I set that in preconditions anyway. Yeah, just zip by something. And way up here, it's real easy to see the green grass. Isn't that pretty? And even out here you can see farm fields, but there's more to it than this. I just need to wait for this to otherwise get up all the way. It took me a while to figure out a bug I had with this. Yep, 2 weeks worth of development, and this is how Keveran Desert came to be. What a change. And yeah, I just love that sky darkening effect. That's my second most favorite feature in this game. This is my top favorite. I love watching this thing just ticking by. This fade that was green initially when you first saw this video, and now it's kind of a yellowish color, and it's going to turn colors eventually. And yeah, I'm still going up, by the way. But here, it's real easy to see all the farm fields, even cities out here. And by the way, when I was doing those cities and stuff, I actually referred to my Minneapolis trip. How did I refer to it? Well, it's actually pretty easy. When I was doing my navigator type stuff that I usually do, I was noting the spacing between cities, which happens to be about 12 miles, somewhere in that kind of area. Platform Masters doesn't use miles for its units, or at least its back-end units. Everything is coordinate units, which is 1 pixel in the foreground basically, the block, the thickness of the platforms, and the kiloblock, which is 1024 blocks. So yeah, 32 screen widths. So yeah, it does give you a sense on size and stuff, and the sheer scale behind this game, and then some the scale. Even at this crazy fast speed, about the speed of an airline, it's like nothing's moving. It's just so slow. If you look closely, yeah, you can certainly see the movement. So you might be wondering, what's next in store for Platform Masters? Well, the next thing I have in mind is finishing World 12. I have virtually no progress on that world, and to date, the only thing the public knows about World 12? It's the only world in the entire game where it has a ceiling. And a ceiling, no, not this, or with several extra digits to the left of that, it's not even close. 9.2 E18 is a pretty close idea on just the extreme maximums you can get. And yeah, I'm going supersonic. But you could see these farm fields out here, and just look how slow everything is moving. These are all spaced 1 kiloblock. By the way, 1 kiloblock is 32 screen widths. 32 times the width of the screen here is packed into this little tiny bit. Now that is extremely far away. Even the closer bits look barely even discernible. You could barely make out anything. But yeah, this is really nice how all this came out. And by the way, it's pretty much got the standard 2097152 repeat width. That's 64 kiloblocks. Yeah, that's what the terrain spans basically. There's reasons for that, and that will be covered quite a ways away yet in the development. So, what do you think about this wonderful scenery from way up here in the almost really dark sky there, but it's nowhere near high enough to see the stars? And yes, you can literally see the stars in the game. Even in the daytime, it just requires a ton of height, but hey, you get the idea at least. Anyway, this video was created by Ulillillia. Thank you for watching. And I think you probably know what's happening right now. Yeah, you getting any ideas? This extreme high-speed fall that I just so love doing at the end. Speed of the Concorde. And yes, by the way, this is actually expected. It's sand going into grass, basically. And all those little farm fields you can barely see. 2,000 miles an hour, and it still looks like nothing's changing. It's just so slow. Oh well, that's the end.